Hello Indie Game fans, the replayable factor of roguelites is what draws me to them, since if done right, they can keep you occupied for hours to come, so here are 15 of the best upcoming pixel art games in the genre. A vibrant title that I love the look of is Dungeon Drafters, a classic turn-based roguelike where you play as an adventurer using magic cards to defeat your enemies in order to explore dungeons. I like that it combines the also popular deck building element into a classic roguelike with a wonderful look that I cannot get enough of. Another quick hit is the action roguelite Rogue Souls, looking like a melee focused entry with the ability to jump, so very Undermine-like in nature. Looks fantastic but rather blue, and I'm keeping an eye on this. A title that I was very impressed with ever since I saw it is Renaine, which looks 8-bit excellent, where you play as a Phoenix Knight in her eternal quest to save the world. I love it when roguelites build in their reason as to why you're able to play run after run, and being a literal phoenix is a pretty good one, and it looks rather slick in terms of art and animations. There was some issue with their previous publisher, which has undoubtedly led to delays, and while it still has a tentative 2020 window, I cannot wait to get hands on.
Lord, please guide my weapon. Dragon Slayer genetics. Get the word out, go get it.
One look at Despot's game, and some of you may be able to identify the developer, since their previous title, Despotism 3K, was a very interesting roguelite idle game, and this instead takes it into the strategy sphere. Equip and upgrade up to 49 units on your team, position them strategically, and watch them go in battle. I love the look of this, with some impressive enemy designs like the carnivorous plants and the awesome looking mechs, so think of it as totally accurate battle simulator, but less of a wacky physics sandbox and more of a structured roguelike strategy game, and you get the idea. The very long in development Undungeon is still slated for Q4 2020 and has gone through its fair share of development issues, so we'll see if it makes it out this year, but it's getting down to the wire. Impressed with the pixel art and action, even in demos being released, with customizable heroes and an open world structure. Still seems very ambitious with multiple planned playable characters, but as with all delayed games, we'll have to wait and see on this. I'm a fan of developer Hunchback Studio, who has an art style that is very iconic, having made Gloom and The Treehouse Man, where After Gloom is the follow-up to the game from 2017. We are once again exploring the common dream, which is a mystical world filled with all sorts of eldritch enemies, and if Gloom was anything to go by, this could potentially be one of the standout examples in the genre. There was a stamina-based combat system in the previous game, which I think might make a comeback, but it adds in a more forgiving modern roguelite progression system, allowing you to carry things over from run to run. I've showcased 30XX so many times and I'm still waiting for this, since it is the follow-up to the Roguelite Mega Man 20XX, but with a wonderful pixel art style and that same sort of intense action. Fans of the Blue Bomber will have to check this one out, providing a nice alternative to the mainline games, and I simply cannot wait. Just covered TOKOYO, the Tower of Perpetuity, when talking about the Steam Game Festival Autumn Edition, and based on your responses, you folks seem to be into this as well. Obviously, it's from a Japanese developer, which means that the pixel art does look quite different, but it does look to have a nice variety of powerful looking weapons at your disposal. The gimmick here is that the layout of the tower changes every 24 hours in real time, taking the daily run concept quite literally, so I'm interested in that. A title which I have my eye on is Hell Can Wait, a roguelite bullet hell deck builder, which is a very interesting combination to me. This seems more in line with One Step from Eden as compared to Slay the Spire, having to fire off abilities and manage cooldowns in real time. And as a fan of these three subgenres separately, I'm curious to see what the final product will be when mashed together. Just covered Revita, again during the Steam Game Festival, but this roguelite platformer looks fantastic, where you climb an ever-changing clock tower to reclaim your lost memories. There appears to be quite the variety of weapons, with certain aspects reminding me of Hollow Knight, but I'm really impressed with the art and animation in this. This developer promises near infinite variety of combat encounters, so we'll have to see if it lives up to that, but a no-brainer pick and another game that I'm excited about. A classic top-down action roguelite with some gorgeous pixel art is Metal Mind, reminding me strongly of games like Mech Warrior, Brigador, and even its closest comparison, Neuro Voider. Factors like weight, armor, and weapon heat dissipation are factors, so very classic mech game stuff, but it looks really good in motion, if a little plodding in terms of speed. The trailer hints at uploading your data when you die, so I presume that there will be some progression system built in, but if you love robots and mechs, this is one to wishlist right now. The Korean title Blade Assault has also appeared on the channel a number of times recently for good reason, since it looks absolutely fantastic, set in a typical cyberpunk world. A nice variety of both melee and ranged weapons which can be upgraded and transformed, this looks to nail the combat with potentially 4 playable characters as well. Sweet pixel art and I cannot wait. An interesting curiosity that not enough people talk about is the roguelite turn-based city builder Dot Age, where you play as a literal old man yelling at cloud, directing the villagers to do what they can to mitigate the effects of an apocalypse. There's fire, plague, storms and more, with 300 plus random events, 70 buildings and 50 resources to manage, and it's a fascinating entry since the number of city builders in this space is quite limited. I've also mentioned the last spell a number of times since it self-describes as the cross between Diablo, Final Fantasy Tactics and Dynasty Warriors, pitting hordes of monsters against you as you struggle to protect the Bastion and the mages within. This is almost They Are Billions-like in terms of the base building and the sheer number of enemies thrown at you, set up in a turn-based tactics format with some fun-looking skills and abilities that can take out a ton of enemies with every attack. Looks fantastic in motion and gets a great spot on the list.
In the pursuit of immortality, I evoked a ritual of ascension. However, the Church of Solar lay in wait. Their meddling trapped me in infernal torment. Years later, and more powerful than ever, I have returned.
Finally, the Unliving allows you to play as a Necromancer, which is perhaps my favourite class in games ever since Diablo 2, allowing you to summon huge undead hordes to destroy your enemies.
And rise again by my hand. They will feel my wrath as I burn their armies, claiming their warriors as my own.
Love the art and designs in this, simply looking awesome, and I hope that the gameplay matches up with that, taking the #1 spot. To see more of the big picture, check out these awesome videos, and I will see you after the jump.
Death will not stop.